All right. Okay, so my talk is going to be pretty different than the other talks at the conference. It's more aimed at the hoodies in the audience versus the suits. But I will try to make some notes of relevance for those who are blockchaining it up. Yeah, so we're talking about today, and the title here I'll actually relate to the title that's in the agenda in a few slides. We're going to talk about here today is something that we call the machine payable web. And the concept is a web where basically machines are earning Bitcoin on every HTTP request. Now, who here knows what an HTTP request is? Just show of hands. Okay, all right. Well, every time you load a web page, that's an HTTP request that's happening. So that's a lot of HTTP requests. So if you're earning Bitcoin on every HTTP request, it could be a lot of Bitcoin. So it could be important. So worth paying attention to. Okay. So what we think is that there's actually going to be a third web, right? And by a third web, what we mean is there's right now two webs that people are familiar with. There's the World Wide Web, right, where you've got documents that are linked to each other, right, via hyperlinks. And you've got the social web, where you've got links between people, and you've got likes and pokes and tweets and so on flowing between them. And we think there's going to be a third web, a machine web, where the links are actually payments between machines. And we call it the machine payable web, or the machine web for short. Now, the thing about this is you might ask, why would we need something like that? Why would we want a machine payable web in the first place? And the reason is because paywalls are actually a lot worse than you think. And by paywall, what am I referring to? By analogy, you've probably seen, go to the Wall Street Journal website, you get this paywall over here, and what do? You usually go and take the URL. Sorry, Paul Vigna's in the audience. You take the URL of Paul Vigna's article, you paste it into Google, and you go and you try and see the article for free, right? And the reason you do that is because you're actually paying in a totally different way. You're not paying the Wall Street Journal, unfortunately. You're paying Google, and you're paying Google not via a paywall over here, but you're paying Google via micropayments. And you're paying them via micropayments in the form of an ad. Okay, so this is the way that we monetize content on the web. It's either via paywalls or it's via ad-based micropayments, right? Now the issue is that if you're talking about machines, if you're a developer, well, you only have the option of using paywalls. So probably you've heard of AWS here, Amazon Web Services. If you're a developer, you've certainly heard of it. And the thing is that Amazon Web Services, signing up for something like that is very much like signing up for the Wall Street Journal. You have to go and put in a credit card, you have to put in your address and all this information, sometimes ID and all that stuff before you can use more instances. And there's nothing that's analogous to like a no friction sign-up process where you can just click and rent a machine without any pre-authorization. And one way of thinking about this is just by analogy, again, right? So if every website had a paywall, right? If every website had a lock in front of it, you wouldn't have the World Wide Web we know. Instead, it'd be something that'd be more like television, where you'd have subscriptions to a few key channels, and then after that, you would not really go out of that milieu. Rather than clicking on tens of thousands of links in the course of a year, you'd click on a few that would really be just website focused and directed, the places you had subscriptions to. So that's really where machine APIs are stuck today, right? They're stuck in this lower left quadrant. They're stuck in a place where they can't link back and forth to each other like documents. You have to go and sign up for each of them individually. There's no circulation or anything there, right? So, one way of thinking about this, and the reason this is there, and this is kind of an interesting and subtle point, I think, is that the way that content is monetized is you have a human, and they hit a paywall over here, 1% of them, and they go and they pay for the content. But 99% of them, let's just say, just escape and they don't pay, right? So 1% of them pay 100% of the time. The alternate monetization model is something where you've got a human, and all of them get to see the content, and once in a while, 1% of them get distracted by an ad, and then they've got a situation where they're a monetization event, an orange arrow, right? But with machines, the problem is machines don't get distracted, right? So with a machine over here, the machine, you might set up the paywall over here and they'll pay, but if you just try giving them the content for free and put up an ad near there, they're never going to get distracted from the goal. They're always just going to barrel right for the API. They're not going to click an ad, right? So machines don't inadvertently click ads. And so because of this, in order to actually have this machine payable web, we need a way for machines to actually pay other machines. And for a machine web, we need a machine currency, and we need Bitcoin, okay? So yes, and a blockchain, the blockchain. Okay, so now that we've motivated this, right, let's talk about what we're going to do with Bitcoin. So that's why we've built 21. 21 is a free piece of software. You can download it at our website, 21.co, which allows you to build a machine payable web. That's to say, take any machine, any Linux machine, any Mac OS X machine, and soon any Windows machine, and just run some software and have that machine earning Bitcoin for you and connecting to other machines that also spend and receive that Bitcoin, okay? So you can go to 21.co, you can download this now, okay? And 21 basically makes Bitcoin the currency of the machine payable web, okay? And let me explain what that means and the features that we have in this software. So there's basically 3 key features, right? The first is that 21 allows you to very quickly get Bitcoin on any device. So you can install 21 and you can run one of several different kinds of commands to mine, buy, earn, sell, or even get from a faucet some Bitcoin to start using in your programs. The second thing that 21 does is it allows you to add Bitcoin micropayments to your app with literally one line of code, right? In front of any existing web API, you just add this line of code, payment required. You can say, I want 5,000 Satoshis per API call, okay? Now, you can actually pass in something much more sophisticated there. You can pass in a pricing function. You can have arbitrary pricing. You can have surge pricing for APIs. And so that's pretty sophisticated. That means that you can go and retrofit or build new applications that make use of Bitcoin micropayments without really even knowing anything about Bitcoin. Just put in one line of code. And the third thing that we've done is once you've built these kinds of applications, so you've gone your Bitcoin, you've added micropayments to your application, now we have basically a marketplace where you can actually go and exchange Bitcoin for services with other people. And you can earn Bitcoin in every HTTP request, right? And as I mentioned before, there's a lot of HTTP requests, so that could potentially be quite a lot of Bitcoin. So let's go through these features in turn just to get a feel for them. So first, get Bitcoin on any device, right? So this is just the fastest way with 21 to get started in any country. You don't need a bank account, you don't need a credit card, you just install 21 and go. And let me show you how you do that. So basically, to install 21, you just do this. curl 21.co pipe.sh, right? Now you can pipe that into less or what have you. You can preview the script, but bang, you've got it, right? You've just installed 21. There's a bunch of commands. This is very easy to remember. So it's like a trivial installation. It installs all kinds of dependencies and other stuff if you want them that will let you set up servers and so on, right? So it's a very memorable thing. If you forget the HTTPS, it will prompt you to use HTTPS. So it's pretty aware of errors and so on, right? And once you've installed 21, we've got 5 different ways built into 21 to get Bitcoin onto your machine. And you can choose whichever one you want, right? You can mine Bitcoin. You can buy Bitcoin with our Coinbase integration. You can get Bitcoin from our faucet. And then you can also do 2 things that don't involve either mining or buying Bitcoin. You can earn Bitcoin by doing microtasks for 21 and then for others. And you can also sell your machine resources for Bitcoin, kind of like an Airbnb for machines. Okay, let's go through these in turn quickly. So when you're talking about mining Bitcoin, if you've got a mining chip detected, you can just go and click, or enter in 21 mine, mining has begun, and you can start seeing your Bitcoin count up, okay? If you want to buy Bitcoin with our Coinbase integration, you can just buy Bitcoin over here, and the Bitcoin will just be deposited to your wallet, right? So if you want to buy in bulk, that's easy to do, okay? If you want to just get some Bitcoin without signing up at all, you're just really lazy, well, you can hit our faucet, right? And we will, we rate limit this in a bunch of different ways, so don't abuse it. But you can just curl 21.co on any machine, get some Bitcoin, start playing with it, do some API calls, and so on. You can earn Bitcoin. Okay, and so this is going to be pretty cool because this is kind of new. I mean, people have sort of talked about a Bitcoin economy where people are actually paid in Bitcoin, but we pay small amounts of Bitcoin for very small amounts of work. For example, if you invite a bunch of your friends to 21, you get paid Bitcoin. You get paid more if they've got an institutional email versus a free or a fake email or what have you, right? Other kinds of microtasks like this will be made available. So even if you don't hit the faucet, you can do something there without a credit card in any country to earn Bitcoin for a little bit of work. The 5th and final way is by actually booting up a machine payable server. So while the 21 earn command is kind of an active thing, you're putting in labor and getting back Bitcoin, the 21 sell command is passive. You launch a command and then you go and you get some Bitcoin in the background as it's running. And so all these things combined basically mean that 21 is a very easy way to, you install 21 and you can easily get Bitcoin in a number of different ways, right? Okay. So once you have this concept of selling APIs for Bitcoin, you might want to build your own, not just the ones that are built into 21. And so we've got the functionality to add Bitcoin functionality to any app. And so it's very simple. Here's the before. You've got your web app over here, and here's the after. And you just put a line payment required over there, and you pass in the amount that you want to bill in. And importantly, that can be an arbitrary function. okay? Request a price over there is something which can be an arbitrary function that takes an arbitrary HTTP request and returns back whatever price you want. You can have a lower price for your friends, you can have a lower price for your family, and you can have surge pricing, you can have a higher price if demand so warrants, right? So you can have totally dynamic pricing, and you can have that happen in real time in response to computation. The third thing that 21 gives is basically the ability to earn Bitcoin on every HTTP request, right? So it's a new way to monetize online with machine-to-machine micropayments. And basically what you can do here is once you've built that custom app that we just showed, you've added your one line of code, you've added payment required, you can do a 21 publish command over here and you can submit that to the marketplace. And then others can buy and sell from you in this marketplace because it's a discovery point, it's an index. Like Google or eBay or what have you, you need an index, a marketplace for people to find each other and buy and sell from each other. A currency alone doesn't do it, you need discovery as well. In addition to discovery, we've got a community. So you can set up your profile over here. So we've got like profile pages and stuff. And you can go to the Slack community and find other people who are interested in buying and selling from you. And that community is going to expand because now we've got this free 21 software. Now, some of you might be asking, okay, this is cool. You've got this free software. But what about your Bitcoin computer? What happened to that? And the answer is actually, we've now made every computer into a Bitcoin computer. And we've basically taken the Bitcoin computer, which is sort of stage one, and it has essentially 3 descendants, right? So there's a 21 software that I just talked about. There's the DIY Bitcoin computer over here, and you can just go to 21.co/DIY, and we've got full instructions for turning anything into basically a black box that makes you money, starting with Raspberry Pis and Odroids, but moving towards any kind of other spare computer you've got. You just put it on your shelf, and it'll make you money in the background. And the third thing we've got is embedded mining, and that's coming up. I don't have time to talk about that right now, but rest assured we haven't forgotten about it. This software basically gives the justification in many ways for embedded mining because it gives lots of endpoints that can actually take Bitcoin and do useful things. Okay, so just in summary, today we just launched some software that basically builds what we think of as the third web, the machine payable web. And what that software lets you do is it makes Bitcoin the currency of that machine payable web. It allows you to get Bitcoin on any device, it allows you to add Bitcoin to any app, and it allows you to earn Bitcoin on every HTTP request. So if this interests you, if you'd like to be involved with this, please go and build a machine payable web at 21.co. Thank you.